Alrighty guys, welcome to a really cool game, Plague Inc. And I just want to do a bit of a run through. So, it's coming to the end of 2022, just a couple days before going into 2023, so I guess I'll see you next year. But anyway, I wanted to go over a really cool thing over on Plague Inc., and it is looking at the one thing that apparently shut the entire world into lockdown for 2 years, and that is good old COVID-19 or COVID 2020, as long as people want to keep pushing this thing. And what I did here is going to be jumping into a match of Plague Inc. So I chose this game because, it keeps a pretty good estimated population for every single country pretty much in real time, and it will also keep scaling for the actual current date, just 29/12/2022 at the time of me making this video. And I'll be going in. So I have a list set up of symptoms that COVID-19 gives to people. So I'll be using this, and what it will pretty much do is I'm going to be putting down all the symptoms that COVID has in real life, and I want to really see, can it spread to kill off 6 million people, or a little bit over 6 million. That was the recorded amount of deaths over the span of these 2 years, and see if it can actually do that within the span of 2 years for how deadly apparently it was in the world to warrant a global lockdown of the entire world. Just for a pretty good idea on how much 6 million people is, 3% of the US alone is around 3 million people. So that's 3% of the US population is in there. And 6 million, this is 6 million deaths globally. So this is all around the world. It's not just in the US. It is 6 million worldwide. So I just wanted to give an idea on how that's going to be affecting all that. So I have an infinite amount of DNA points. So let me go ahead and go over here. So I have fever and chills. So first I need to go to the symptoms. I want to go ahead and spread everything else out right now. So technically I won't be in the game if I'm in the menu, so it won't really be doing anything. But let me go ahead and find fever and all that kind of good stuff. So it's going to have definitely some lung issues. I know there was some type of breathing problems that was wrong with it. So we'll be going through there. So let me open this up. So we have fever and chills. So we have fever. Okay, so let me keep everything except for that. And we're also going to keep all the lung disorders as well. So we're able to keep the fever skill there, or symptom. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to deselect everything, and that is going to be fever. And we also have muscle sores, I believe, shortness of breath. So we also will have some lung issues as well. So that was one of the big things that people like to talk about, is coughing and sneezing. That is one of them, sneezing and making the cold climates, shortness of breath and difficulty breathing. Yeah, so that's going to be coughing and sneezing like that. And then pneumonia, yeah, so it just makes it to where it is building up fluids and things like that, to where it's hard to breathe. So we're going to be keeping that. Nothing technically fatal yet, right? So this is in the game just simple spreading symptoms that you normally get, just for transmission. So it's nothing even that crazy yet. So we'll have that. Let me bring this back up, and we're also going to be going over towards muscle and body aches. So I know muscles were over on this end, so that's inflammation. Inflammation obstructs bodily processes. Swelling can obstruct breathing and can be fatal, or it can have things like that. This is seizures. What else can we have for any kind of muscles? So let's say the muscle problems could be lethal. Alright, so not necessarily paralysis, it's not too bad, but for us to do that, we're going to have some insomnia and inflammation going up to inflammation, and that'll give us some actual muscle disorders there. And lethality is a little bit up. We are going to get rid of this though, because that also is something we don't really need. and fatigue. So fatigue is also insomnia and paranoia, so that's also one of them. Coughing is already on there. So there's that. Let's see if there's anything else. Headaches. So we have fever. We have seizures. It's not quite right. That is not as big as we would need it to be. So it doesn't really look like we can give seizures or headaches to people. So that's unfortunately something we can't really do. But sore throat, we already have that with the actual lung problems here, and it looks like nausea and vomiting is a thing. So we get nausea and vomiting, and that will increase that part. So we'll have that. So far, still mostly all infection and severity. There's only a little bit of lethality, and I believe that is through inflammation and the fever. So far, it's not really that lethal. So we're going through that, and congestion and runny nose, so we already have that as well, nausea and vomiting, and that's really about it. So these are the symptoms that are common when it comes with COVID. That's about it. So I do have the virus set up, so I want to have it to where it is about as accurate as it can be, even for the type of symptoms going through here. Now I will slowly give itself more symptoms, so I will devolve all these symptoms, because let's be honest, we never actually had COVID ever evolve to have more symptoms, despite all of its weird types it wanted to go through, like Omicron or Delta or whatever the heck people want to be calling it, with 5 different vaccines for it. So we'll be doing that. We'll go ahead and make China. We also start off in China, so we have to be accurate for worldwide, right? So again, I have to kill up to 6 million people within the span of 2 years. I'm practically starting on 2023, so I'm looking at 2025 is what we're going to be trying to get to, within 6 million people dead within that time period. Yeah, for transmission. So transmission, it wasn't really with bats, or it was with bats, so I couldn't really have anything there. So it was through people, but there wasn't really a way for it to actually transmit and kill a bunch of people all at once. It doesn't go through the air or anything. It wasn't airborne. That was something that they never actually mentioned. So I guess it's just straight up, it's just symptoms. They never actually really had a real way for it to be spreading it outside of people. Coughing and stuff, which are the symptoms. So I have the way for them to be spreading already set through the symptoms. So I'll just go ahead and wait, and this is what's going to be going through. This is how it's going to be changing. So we're at 13,000 people. I really need to be collecting that, but there's that. $1 million people. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 million people, 7 million people dead. And that's within the actual years of it actually just starting off, not even, or just a little bit past 6 months within the actual year. And that is paralysis and stuff, so we're going to be getting rid of that. Diarrhea, we don't want that on there. So that's what I mean. So real life wasn't even that bad. So this is in the simulation of closest that you could possibly really get to how fast it would spread. It already killed 6 million people within the first 7 months. Why in the world did it take 2 years for us to get to that amount of deaths and still be underneath that kind of lockdown system? I don't know. So it's now at 15, 16 million people and going, barely even outside of China right now, spreading to Russia and to the US. So actually it's about on point with real life for how it's spread. That was actually kind of funny. But have air filters and stuff now. So this is actually when people started going to lockdown. So let's go ahead and play it out, right? So now we have lockdown things going on. So I want to go ahead and get rid of rashes and things like that, because again, we don't want those symptoms. So we want to keep on going through. already killed 22 million people, so this is well out of the realm of COVID, and it's actually probably to where it's not even that bad now. Like, again, 500 million people is in the US population. It's not even close to being something that is considered as a massive pandemic. If it's not even, a quarter of US population, compared to the whole entire world. This is globally, by the way. So that's something to keep in mind. So we're going to keep doing that. I keep devolving them because it is the virus. It's going to keep mutating like that. Oh, look at that. It's more infectious than the common cold. So it is just now about to be breaking 1 year. There we go. So now it's 2024, right? So 2024, and now they're making a cure for it within a year, right? So about on track, but already killed off almost 3 times as much as it would, or like well over 3 times as much as it would normally do for real life COVID. So again, this is how fast it would spread, even with their whole attempts of shutting down airports and things like that. That we did do for a while, but it had already killed off a ton of people. So we'll go ahead and do that. Still going, and we're going to keep going until it is completely done with 2 years into 2025. World Cup canceled, yeah. So this is like when about through the halfway year where the entire world and whole situations are going to be locked down, so people don't really do any kind of active public events. That sounds about right. So we're going through 74 million people. Look at that, it's almost at 100 million people within little over 1.5 years. So again, 6 million people within the span of 2 years, okay? So this is how rough it would be if we did everything at the normal pace that we do in real life. Obviously, this is a game. It is very accurate. There is a bunch of things that doesn't really take into account, like actually, the affected people. This is generally for everybody in the world. You got to remember that even in the earlier years, it was talking about how it only really affects old people and people with actual symptoms or underlying abilities. So what I'm going to be doing is actually putting a bunch of stuff into slowing down the cure, so we do get an actual timestamp, or to where it's slow enough to where we can actually get over to 2 years. 115 million. And we're getting close now to 2 years. Again, it's already like well over any kind of amount of deaths that you'll probably be getting. I don't think we need that there. That's just coughing and then sneezing on there. Yep, so there we go. So we keep going. Keep going. So over half of the world is pretty much, well, technically infected. We got 1 more month to go, or this month and next month to be going, and it will actually outright start killing people. So infected, dead 142, and keep going. So let me see, did it evolve again? Yeah, so it's right there. So we're going to keep going, and we're finally getting to where it's about to be the end of 2 years, and we'll stop it. There you go. So 5 days after, so it's 2025. So again, right, real life, 2 years. Right? So a span of 2 years, it had a total of 6 million people. 3% of the population in the U.S. is about 3 million, and 6 million worldwide. All right, so that includes every single country in the entire world, with a total of well over 6 billion people, and that is 5 billion people infected right there. So, and then the death count is 157 million. So in real life, when it comes to just people in general, this is just people in general. It has no actual symptoms when it comes to just outright killing certain types of people that have health issues or anything along those lines. It will kill way more than that. So there is a way for you to, if you want to, be dragging those numbers a little bit further back, but taking it to where everyone is actually being able to be infected by COVID that would be spreading around the world within the time span that it would be in, especially with everyone doing lockdowns of certain locations for public events, shutting down airports, which we did with China when it first started up, and that was around in March, I think, which was actually kind of funny if you guys remember the whole toilet paper shortage, which was a meme that went a little bit too far. I don't really know why that happened. That was something. But anyway, yeah, so this is what I wanted to show you guys. This is kind of a recreation of 2019's COVID. It is actually something. So COVID 2020 to 2021, it pretty much died off in 2022. No one really talked about it at all. Probably until like the very last quarter, or the very first quarter of 2022. As soon as people stopped talking about the virus, it all of a sudden just kind of disappeared from the face of the earth. So it's kind of weird there. But yeah, so there we go. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments. If you guys wanted to see more for Plague Inc. and any other type of kind of weird recreation of past plagues, like the Black Plague or anything else, or just want to see this game in general, just let me know. And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.